Yo, what's good everyone? This is Ayo Boxing with Madiba, and we're here to talk about Andy Cruz signing a deal with MATCHROOM. So alongside with signing Regis Prograis, Eddie Hearn and MATCHROOM signed Andy Cruz to a long-term deal. And this is big because Andy Cruz is a standout and probably the best amateur we've seen since Lomachenko. The Cuban won gold in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, beating Keyshawn Davis for it. He's beaten Keyshawn 3 times in the amateurs, so that means something. He's also a 3 times IBA World Championship gold medalist and a 2 times Pan American gold medalist. The record speaks for itself. Cruz is a highly skilled boxer, and if you need proof, just look at his amateur fights on YouTube. And he can finally show these talents at the professional level. If you weren't aware, Cruz defected from Cuba last summer, but his initial attempts were unsuccessful. It wasn't until December of last year that Cruz made it out of Cuba, and him being signed to a major promoter is a big deal because this can potentially change the atmosphere at lightweight. And Eddie Hearn is very happy about this, with him even saying that this might be the biggest signing in MATCHROOM history. And it could be, but it's somewhat shocking to me that Cruz would go with MATCHROOM. MATCHROOM and DAZN don't have a deep stable at lightweight. You have names like Jojo Diaz, William Cepeda, Maxie Hughes, Mauricio Hesta, Kid Austin, but these aren't big names or really interesting matchups for Cruz. Top Rank and PBC have the big names and the big fights. For example, Tank and Pitbull Cruz are at PBC and Showtime. Shakur Stevenson and Lomachenko are with Top Rank, and most importantly, Keyshawn Davis is with Top Rank. Boxing politics can get in the way of making these fights. I guarantee that Hearn will put a lot of money behind Cruz for fights, but the barrier is still there. In all honesty, I thought that Andy Cruz would go to Top Rank, not only because of the potential fights, but Top Rank is the best at building up fighters, especially keeping prospects busy and fast-tracking them to a championship level. Lomachenko is the best example of this. Maybe the way that Bob Arum treated and handled Rigondeaux may have deterred Cruz from signing with them. The real question is, will Andy Cruz be as dominant as a professional like he was in the amateurs? This is a real question because we've seen top-rated amateurs fall short as a professional. A great example is Augie Sanchez. He was the last American to defeat Floyd Mayweather in the amateurs, but he never became a world champion as a professional. And when it comes to Cubans, sometimes their styles do not translate well and they struggle as a professional. Ugas struggled several years as a professional until recently. Rigondeaux was seen as a boring fighter and thus was avoided and not given many opportunities. Robeisy Ramirez lost his professional debut, but we've also seen Cuban amateurs transition well into the pro ranks and be successful. Yoel Casamayor became a 2-division champion, beating and competing against good competition. David Morrell is a rising star, an exciting fighter, and he's being fast-tracked as we speak. Robeisy Ramirez went on a winning streak after his initial loss, adapting his style and becoming a world champion. Andy Cruz could potentially be a bust, be an instant success story, or have growing pains once he starts fighting. He's supposedly having his professional debut in July in a 10-round fight, and Eddie Hearn wants him to have at least 2 or 3 more fights this year, and he even thinks that Cruz will fight for a world title sometime next year. We all have to wait and see, but I do think that Andy Cruz will have a smooth transition into the professionals and become a legitimate threat at lightweight. And maybe we can see Andy Cruz versus Keyshawn Davis in a unification fight next year. But who knows, this is boxing, anything can happen. But thank you for tuning in with Ayo Boxing with Madiba. Hit like and subscribe, and more content's coming your way.